Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Transcendental Transformation. Our guest today is an advanced certified Tantra educator, a sacred sexuality coach, and a clinical hypnotherapist. She is the co-creator of the Ecstatic Dakini Tantra Practitioner Certification Program, which specializes in helping people and couples actualize their divine ecstatic sexuality and spiritual potential. Please help me welcome my guest, Lourdes Starshower.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for coming. So tell me, we hear all the time about Tantra, and we always think it's right away about sex, but it's not always about sex. So what is Tantra?
It is about sex.
Oh, it is about sex. Okay.
And so much more.
Oh, yes.
It really is. So Tantra is about uniting all of the opposites and merging them together.
Okay.
So uniting each of our internal masculine and feminine, uniting each of our shadows with our light.
Okay. Well, what do you mean by shadows?
Everything that society represses, plus everything that we repress because we're wounded in childhood.
Yes.
And anytime that society says, oh, that's naughty, or you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, we lock those up into little corners of a dungeon, and we keep them there, and we keep a strong lock on them until somebody like me says, free
It's time to open up, right?
Yeah.
It's sad that our society does that, because when we're young, we start out, and we have the world as our oyster. We just, we have all these ideas. We just go with our instinct. And then people constantly tell us, no, we can't do this. We shouldn't do this. We have to behave like this. And it really does do a number to who we are as a soul, right?
It really does. And also to tell us if we have imaginary friends, or we say, I saw Grandma last night and Grandma's already passed away, and they tell us, no, you didn't, she's not here, and they take you to a psychologist. Or worse yet, you're caught masturbating really young, and your parents tell you that's naughty.
Yes.
Or whatever else they say. I mean, they used to say that you would go blind and all kinds of strange things.
Yes.
But even just to tell an adolescent boy or girl that it's naughty to self-pleasure. It's naughty to find that place of pleasure in their body and not allow themselves to have them, shuts them down. And the girls start shutting their legs, really crossing their legs. You can't see me, but I have my legs crossed really tight, which disconnects me from my body, and it disconnects me from my flow. And boys are made to believe that they're bad if they're interested in sex.
Yes. It's one of those things where we are beings of feeling. We are beings of experience, and sexuality is part of that experience. And, I think that we are ashamed of it because we look at it as we've been taught our conditionings depending on religion or spirituality or the way we look. And it really represses us as a soul. So if we want to experience something new, like I grew up in a household that was kind of hush-hush. And say like I'm out to the world and I find someone like you and you start talking to me about Tantra and stuff. How do we start to look as something to project forward for?
What would we have as the vision for you to expand beyond where you are?
Yes, how would we start?
Yeah, so the first thing we would do is to find out how deeply rooted that repression is. And also find out if there's some wounding in the past from that repression.
Yes.
And then I have several different tools to support people. One of them is hypnotherapy. So I can take somebody into their past through a really beautiful form of regression that allows us to go back into the past and heal those wounds and actually shift them and unravel the string of pearls. So if their entire memory and all of the experiences that they've had from that moment on, you might imagine to be connected as a string of pearls, and you take out that first one, then you unravel the whole string, and the person actually almost immediately starts to believe that they can be comfortable.
Absolutely.
And free.
Well, it would make sense because a lot of us, we don't know where to start. One thing that run across with people a lot of times is we have all this chaos and we don't realize that our foundation starts in our childhood, and we start to learn our conditionings, and our mind works in patterns, and so our conditioning starts from all those little experiences. And each time someone makes fun of you, each time someone tells you no, each time sometimes there's an emotion attached to it, our mind changes and gets altered a little bit. And so going back to square one would be, is the way to go, because, as you said, it would unravel everything if you start from square one.
Absolutely. And sometimes the past is something that you would not even imagine.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an example. I worked with a man once. He was an older man, and he was a tennis pro. And he was having erectile dysfunction issues. And I took him through hypnosis, and he found himself to be 2 years old on his father's lap. And he wanted his father's attention because they were with a group of people, a group of friends. And he took his father's glass of water and pushed it into his face, and his father knocked him off his lap. This was not in his memory. He had no idea that had happened. When we healed that, believe it or not, along with some other tantric training, he healed his erectile dysfunction. He got the girl who had said no to marrying him, and they got married. And his arthritis on the tennis court stopped almost altogether.
Oh my God.
So this is something he had been carrying since he was 2 years old, the propensity towards arthritis. And when he was old enough, he developed it.
Well, arthritis, they say, is a form of stagnation, because it's heat mostly in the body. And any form of energy stagnation creates heat, right? So when it's amazing what our mind represses, especially with that. And it's amazing that what you do can unleash something like that.
Yes.
So when people want to come to you and say we finally meet and stuff, and we say, okay, well, this is something I want to be interested in you. How would we start to interact with that?
Well, the first thing I would do is to find out your past, your present, and your vision or intention for the future.
Okay.
Your past helps me to figure out if we need to do some work like hypnosis or timeline regression and soul retrieval. Your present tells me what's happening now. Okay. Do you know about your energy centers? Do you know how to move energy up your energy centers? Are you having incredible mind-blowing orgasms that go through your whole body? Or are you stymied in some way? In the case of a man, do you have some sort of dysfunction, whether it be emotional, inability to connect to women, or some sort of erectile dysfunction issue? And so from there, we create an intention and a vision for the session.
So does someone have to have any knowledge of any form of energetic, let's say chakras, or any form of training of the spiritual arts to come to Tantra?
Absolutely not. A lot of people come to me because they want greater sexuality. They've heard that Tantra is the ultimate sexuality.
We all do.
Yeah. Well, some of us don't know we do.
Yes,
but yes. And so in that, I will teach them about their energy centers. I will teach them about their kundalini and how to move that energy up through their body, because you can't have mind-blowing orgasms without expanding your energy system.
People look at it, and I always tell people, because that we think that our orgasms are localized in the genital areas, and a lot of times people don't realize that, it's our whole body that can feel the orgasm and expand, but they have to be able to clear their consciousness and their limitations in order to do that. So if I say, like I saw you and I said, okay, well, I want a private session with you. Do you offer private sessions?
Absolutely. So going back to what you just said, first there's the orgasm.
Yeah.
And Western orgasms go just through the one nerve in the pelvis that starts the experience, and that's the pedental nerve. That's the nerve that feels the pleasure and gives you the quickie orgasm if it doesn't go anywhere else, and that's a ha! Or and that's it. And whereas if you can allow or teach that orgasm to move up through your body, then it can roll through your whole body, up through each and every one of your energy centers, your chakras, up through the central channel right in front of your vertebra, which means it's running right in front of your entire nervous system and how it innervates the body. So you feel it as tingling in your hands, as pleasure in your heart, pleasure in your brain, and your whole body comes alive. And everybody has that capability, men and women.
Well, you said that, that we come alive. And I think that that's an amazing experience for us to be able to have, because a lot of us, we wake up every day, we get up, we do our chores, we eat breakfast, we go to work, we come back home, and we do the same repetitive pattern over and over. And then when it comes to a sense of pleasure, as you were talking about, whether it's through sex or intimacy or whatever, and that we don't really connect to that, and it's kind of shut down because we take it as a chore too.
We don't connect to each other, and partly it's because we don't connect to ourselves. So if we can begin to connect to ourselves in sexuality and connect to our heart and connect to the divine through our heart, then we can meet the other person, and we can meet them in their eyes, and we can meet them in their heart. And when we make love, it can be a new experience every time. And this is the thing that most people don't understand, that if you have bam, bam, bam sex, you're not looking at your partner, you're kind of like looking away, thinking about something else, then the experience not only is not present, but it begins to create these grooves in your brain that are habitual, and our brain doesn't expand to all of its capabilities. If you're trying to expand your third eye to increase your intuition, your ability to see and to know beyond your five senses, if you're wanting transformation and ascension, and you want to have that connection as well, and you have sex like that where you're not connected and it's just happening, it's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Because sex is the fuel through which all of that happens.
Absolutely. So if I wanted a private session with you, how would I get a hold of you?
You could find my website, www.tantrahealerflorida.com. You could call me. It's on my website, and it's 561-843-1261. And you could email me at Lourdes, Lourdes, Tantra, Tantra, @gmail.com.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for this interview. I had, I've learned so much about Tantra today. So
it was great interviewing with you.
Yeah.
You know so much already, which allows a really beautiful co-creation.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody, we'll be right back.